Hello everyone, and welcome to another scrapping episode, where today we'll be taking a look at these phone chargers right here. Now I'm sure some of you are wondering, why would anyone want to take apart some phone chargers? Well, some of you may not know this, but there's actually gold plating on the electrical contacts on either end of these phone chargers. This is extra apparent on this Apple charger, which has the gold contacts on the outside as opposed to encased within a metal shell. So here I have three different charger cords. This is a USB to USB-B. This one is a USB to USB-C. And this is standard iPhone charger cable. So as far as I know, all three of these have gold-plated contacts on either end. However, it'll be interesting to see how much is on each of the cords. Obviously, I won't be able to know the thickness of the electroplating, but the size of the contacts and how brightly they are coated in gold will give me a rough estimate of how much is there. So the first order of business is to cut off the cord portion in all three cords, because what we're after is on the connectors. And the cords, they are made of precious metals, most likely copper, maybe plated in some tin. And those will get leached, but they're not the focus of today's video, because messing with chemicals is not something I like to do for each video. I'd rather have a huge bin of these cords and then deal with all of that all at once. Whereas with these connectors, I do have to give each one individual attention. All right, let's finish this up. And done. So next thing is I need to separate the metallic insides from this plastic casing. And if you can see there, there's a natural split in the plastic. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take the pliers and crack it. See if I can't sort of bust it up enough that it comes right out. Now I'm going to do this to all 5 of them, well, 6, and I'm not going to show that on camera because that can get kind of tedious, but you understand what's being done. Now sometimes instead of being hard and brittle, the plastic is quite soft, and if you see here, it makes an indentation. It's sort of rubbery. So what you do with that is you use a pair of scissors and sort of cut it off. If you can get a good grip on it, it'll sort of peel. The plastic is tougher than the brittler plastics, but it can only withstand so much torquing and twisting and cutting. And there we go. By the way, there's no specific method to this. You just sort of destroy it in any which way that you can conceive of doing so. No real science to it, just bust it up. Okay, so here's the pieces of metal separated from the plastic casing. Let me tell you, some of these were a lot easier to break into than others. Whoever makes the new USB-Cs, at least that model, please use less structurally sound plastic. It makes my life a little easier. As with all of our waste in this process, these plastic casings cannot be thrown away. In my case, I will be throwing them in a bin for storage, where I will then make sure that there are no residual metals still on these, and then I will probably send them to a proper incinerator so that there isn't any environmental damage that is being done by simply throwing these in the regular trash. Next order of business is to separate these metal casings, sort of split them open so that you can get at the contents inside. Now, on this one, it's painfully obvious what you need to do. You just need to insert the knife in this fold right here and sort of pry it open. Okay, so just press down, get the knife in there, twist, and it pops open. Now, you need to continue to do this until it sort of separates from the rest of the components. And sometimes there is also a band right up here where it's sort of connected. I don't know if you can see that right there. That also is part of this and needs to be removed. This can be done either by splitting it open very carefully in the same way that we sort of pried this open, or just by lopping it off. Personally, I prefer the first method because I'm already spending the time. Why not? But if you were prepping a ton of these and you had a really efficient way to handle the metallic waste, maybe it might just be worth your while to just lop it off. All right, now the casing's off and you can get a good look at these electrical pins. And these ones are plated in gold. I don't know if you can see it on the camera because it kind of blends in with the table, but those are gold tinted. See if I can't get that in the light a little better. All right, so now this is separated from the metallic casing. I'm pretty sure that this metallic casing is made of stainless steel. I am correct. Sticks very strongly to a magnet. Therefore, it goes, wrong bin, in the stainless steel bin. I don't process these myself, but stainless steel is still worth something, so if I get a bucket full and I'm recycling something else, might as well carry it along, get a little money for it. All right, so next we have to separate the pins from this plastic casing. Now, I differ from some people here. Some people will grab the individual pins and sort of work around this plastic, try to get them out whole. Me, I just try to cut them out. I'll cut the pins this way, but chances are only the top part is gold plated, only this contact. So by doing this here, I'm actually reducing the amount of metal I have to dissolve to get the gold off later. There we go. Now you don't want to really force it here because that way you still get these parts and you can just pull out the pin. Okay, now all the pins are out and quite a bit of debris was created in the process. As far as I'm concerned, it's a lot quicker to take all the pins out first and then deal with all the debris later. It's just more efficient that way, but just know that this debris does have to be dealt with. As far as the other two USB ends are concerned, I'm not going to show that footage. I already took apart one, and they should all be almost identical, if not just very similar. These scrapping videos tend to be long as it is, and I don't want to bore you with footage of me taking apart the same component 2 extra times. Alright, so now we've got a decent pile of the connectors from the USB, and I think I'll start with USB-C first. I've never taken this one apart before, and I think it'll be interesting. Alright, same principle as last time with the USBs. Only this time it came off even easier. Let's see, does it stick to the magnet? Very strongly, yes. Stainless steel. Alright, so with the USB-C, all of the connectors are internal in this sort of plastic box. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to split that plastic box with scissors, see if I can't get at it a lot better, and actually take a look at what's inside. Okay, so I see some pins. They're small, but I think I might just be able to pull them out. Perfect! take a look at them. Never actually scrapped this before, but it does look like the very tips are gold plated. Kind of disappointing how little there actually is there, but the cord does have some substantial gold plated connectors on the other end, so maybe that's where all the budget went. Now I think I'll just take the rest out and then move on to the next connector. Alright, so next I'll break down the USB-B. I've broken these down a lot of times before, and they tend to be pretty easy to just grab a hold of the connector and pull like that. It'll pop right off. Okay, so unfortunately I didn't press record for the rest of it, but you can guess what happened. I took the connectors, I lopped them off. I actually used a scissors because they were all sort of sticking out, and got the pins off and into the pile. That said, you don't want to use too much force with the scissor because otherwise the pins will just fly all over the place. Alright, so next, and the one I've been looking forward to because it's quite obvious that it has some decent connectors, is the Apple brand. And this one, I'm not sure where the connectors are going to start and end. So I'm just going to try to bust up right here. I'm not too worried that they would have any gold where I'm cutting because gold's expensive, and if you're going to electroplate it on something, it might as well be somewhere where it has a use. There's no point in having electroplated gold on something that's not going to be contacting the phone. In fact, these are still not coming off even after I lop them off right there. So I'm actually going to go even closer and see if they fall out. All right, check to see how close I can go. All right, that's good. That was cathartic. Okay, as is typical with using that much force, pliers are stuck. Now just easy fix, stick something else in, and pry it open. So I pried at it a little bit more, and it seems that this white part is its own little plastic bit that can be separated from the metal. Now, as far as this bit is concerned, I actually might have to bust it up even more. So eventually I came up with a solution, and the solution is just crush it and crush it and crush it until the metallic parts fall out. Plastic will bend, the metallic parts will sort of just split out, and you'll be able to sort of collect them and put them in the pile. So that Apple connector was, to be quite honest, a waste of time. In fact, I don't think I actually got all of the gold pins off of it. It took me like 5 to 10 minutes to get what I could. And what I could get is intermixed in bits of plastic, and they're quite small. Really, if you've learned something from this, is that the actual USB-A adapter portion has the biggest connectors and the best connectors that are coated in gold. So, of course, each cord you have has both, but is quite a bit more time consuming to try to get it out of the other one. I'd say if you were doing a really mass market project, it'd really only be worth it to manually scrap the USB-A portion. That said, I did it all for you guys here, so if you do want to do this and get all these gold pins out, in order for it to be economical to process these, you would need quite a lot of them. So at the moment, I'm just putting them in a collection tin. Once the tin's full, I will have enough connectors to process and maybe get a nice bead of gold out of it. And as for these, I think I'll just put them in a leaching bin. There's bits of stainless steel, bits of brass, nickel, copper, what I'm assuming to be tin-coated copper wire, maybe a bit of solder in there. I'm just going to take them and place them in the same big bin as all the other sort of scrap leaching stuff that I'm going to accumulate. And once it's full, I'll leach it out with some hydrochloric acid, see what metals I can get out of it, and then deal with it then. Alright, now the only thing I have left to deal with are these cords, which I won't be putting in the same leaching bin as all that other crap. This is mostly copper, so it is somewhat valuable. Right now I'm just bundling it up, and when I have enough of it, I'll sort of cut it up, maybe even get like a wood chipper or something for it, and I'll leach it out personally. All these sort of copper wires will get their own leaching bin, and I'll leach the copper out of it. And that'll make it easier to refine than trying to get the copper out of a giant mixed metal chloride solution. Well, that's about it for today's episode. See ya. Hope you enjoyed.